What's up, you guys? How's it going? This is like take three on this. I keep getting myself into the weeds with my attempts at describing what I'm trying to describe here. So I'm trying to keep it as general as I can, and it is this idea that I think I've touched on in other videos already, but it keeps coming up because of the work that I do as a massage therapist and speaking with clients and observing clients and repeating patterns that I just keep seeing again and again. Um, the general sense I get from the average individual is that when they have an issue, like an imbalance, or maybe it's an actual, like maybe there's pain, maybe it's soreness, tightness, or some more complex issue, some range of motion problem, everyone seems to be aware of stretching, foam rolling, using a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball, various devices to try to release tension in certain areas. Many people love heat. Not so many people love cold, but they're also aware of that as well for inflammation. And people tell me that they've been to um, a physical therapist, a chiropractor, massage therapist. They've had surgery. Um, Obviously, in many cases, surgery is necessary for certain things. Um, People are aware of all of these different things, and what many people it seems like many people, what they're looking for is, and they're willing to pay good money for it. They want to find someone who can fix their problem for them. But unfortunately, for I feel like the overwhelming majority of people with some of these issues that I see, it's it's that nobody can do the work for them, and it is work that they need to do, because the missing element in many of these cases is strengthening. Again, I'm trying to avoid getting into the weeds here by even giving examples at all. But if we think about this just as a concept, it is the missing link for many people. I stretch, I do this, I do that, I've been everywhere. Sometimes they say that, oh, well, I've been to the chiropractor, physical therapist, but massage actually helps me the most, but it only lasts for such and such length of time. And what many people, and I don't know if it's that they don't want to think about it because they don't want to do the work, or they just haven't thought of it yet. But I talk to people about this again, and I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not a personal trainer. I just speak to them about. I guess I try to introduce that idea to them so they can figure it out. Because that's what I've had to do in my own body, and what I continue to have to do in my own body. Because I am in control. I'm the only one who's in control of my body, and I think, at least in my case, I know my body better than other people do. I feel it. I live in it. Um, Paying a bunch of money to go see somebody to fix me in some magical way, I know isn't really an option. And maybe I shouldn't even talk to about myself in this way in this video, because I don't have any issues right now as far as major pain or imbalances. Of course, I do have imbalances, but I guess I manage them okay. But again, just to go back to the point, strengthening strengthening a structure, or just building muscle in certain areas that are lacking muscle, building strength and muscle tone. And the easiest example, the most straightforward example, would be to talk about strengthening your core in order to support your spine. I feel like, and it seems like, the majority of people with back issues, it comes from a weakness in their core, and oftentimes weakness in their legs and hips as well. Sometimes it might even be down to their feet. It could be a foot thing. Um, but it's not always like work needs to be done on the back, like massage my back and I feel better. and it's just a little short thing and it feels a little bit better, but it comes back. A lot of the time, it's like these individuals, they need to increase their core strength, and I guess people are really reluctant to do so because this is a lifestyle change. It's not that you can build core strength, like do like a 12-week program, build up that core strength, and then you can stop doing it and now you just have core strength. That's not how it works. Um, you have to do the work forever. You have to do the work forever. The work never ends when it comes to like building and maintaining strength, and keeping all your joints well lubricated and moving through their healthy ranges of motion, and keeping your body strong and fit. It's it's not something you can pay someone else to do for you, though of course personal trainers exist, and I think the motivation and their knowledge and application of the knowledge can help many of us. I've yet to even try that path, but I know that there is incredible value in that path. But so I'm saying in that sense, sure, you can pay somebody to help you, but you will always be the one at the end of the day that needs to do the work, and the work will never end. Um, Many people are not willing to hear that, and you can tell them, and they don't, they'll just kind of block it out and keep on searching for someone, paying people to work on them. And I'm not saying there's not value to that. Maybe there is great value to chiropractic work or massage therapy or physical therapy or whatever. But what would change so many of my clients' lives, or so many people's lives in general, maybe people that aren't even using those other avenues, that haven't even tried massage or anything, and they're just living with pain. Um, it's just this concept of strengthening. I mean, when I first started massage, there was a massage therapist who had much more experience than me. I was just starting. He gave me some great advice, and a lot of it involved strengthening my body, and it involved specific exercises that would help me perform my work, because it's something that really nobody talks about that much. They always talk about receiving body work and maintaining your body in that way, or doing these certain stretches to make sure everything is flexible. But if you're just stretching yourself and maintaining or even increasing flexibility, cool, that's great. It is good to be flexible. But if you're flexible without the strength, you may be opening yourself, you may be increasing the chances of injury in any given joint or plane of movement. You want the strength with the flexibility, which is why things like yoga and Pilates are so popular. But just a bunch of static stretches all the time, or passive stretches, I feel would not be great without also building strength in those positions, because you want stability. The goal really is stability. And this goes into another topic absolutely related that has come up recently with conversations that I've had. And maybe I'll put some links in the description to illustrate this idea a little bit more clearly than what I will be able to do right now. But I will refer to it. I will speak very loosely about the idea of this. And I would recommend checking out the links. And that is this idea of flat feet and people using arch support and spending a lot of money on shoes and inserts and stuff like this. First, I must say I have no experience with any of that stuff myself. I walk around barefoot as much as I can, and more recently in life, I've been using these shoes that are like have a wide toe box, and the heel is not lifted like with most shoes. Excuse me. It's just basically a barefoot shoes. Not the kind that like hug your that have separate little toes to wiggle, but it's just the shape of the shoe is such that your foot can actually your toes can spread out. You can use your feet how they were meant to be used. Um, my father was one individual who I've always heard say, "I have flat feet. I have flat feet. I have flat feet. I have flat feet." I've heard that so many times, and it's used as an excuse by people. But once again, from what I have seen, all of the evidence points to that actually being like the side effects of your lifestyle, and that you can increase the strength in the muscles and in a way like restructure your foot. The main issue is that, and this is obvious, but we are all born nude. We are not born with shoes on or a hat or glasses or clothing. It is not our natural state of being. We created these things. These are inventions that we have created, shoes and clothing and all that stuff. That goes without saying. Um, but what a shoe is, the idea of putting shoes on all the time and always wearing shoes, especially when they have like this high arch support, these inserts, and unfortunately, a lot of the toe box areas are actually really narrow, not enough for your feet to spread out. Your toes are actually squeezed together. If not squeezed in a tight and uncomfortable way, it's just that there's not enough space for you to really open them. And I can see this when I work with older clients, and I just simply look at their feet. I don't even need to touch their feet. It seems more common with women because that they might take it to more of an extreme. The designers of women's shoes, I think, take it to more of an extreme where it goes to a point. But I've seen men like this as well, where their foot is clearly misshapen because of the shoe wear. But the point is, it's like you're born a natural being with a certain structure to your feet in this case. And then it's like you put a cast. It would be like if my arm wasn't broken, but I put a cast on it, and I wear the cast almost 24/7. I take it off when I go to sleep, or maybe sometimes I take it off other times, but really I wear it almost always, and I just take it off to sleep or to shower or something like that. My arm isn't probably going to completely die. It's not just going to like go limp and fall off, but it's going to be really weakened, and it's going to be dysfunctional in its movement and in its ability to, I guess, in my ability to use strength in that arm. Strength is going to drop. It will become very weak, and it's obviously not a good idea, is the point, to put a cast on your foot. Taking someone who has a quote unquote flat foot, which is just a foot with very weak muscles, and because of that the structure is flattened out, and the ankle kind of goes inward, and putting shoes with a really high arch support and pushing it up, you're just changing the shape of the cast when you put those in there. So maybe for while the I don't know, but like I said, I haven't worn these things myself. But maybe while the inserts are in the shoes and they walk around, it feels like maybe they get an idea or a sense of what it feels like to have healthy feet, like a good shape to your foot, a good structure, I mean. But as soon as they take those off, I would imagine that the whole structure of the arch and everything is even weaker now, because it's just been relying on that support. It's like with back braces, or like I said, putting a cast on. Just take a healthy limb and put a cast on it for almost every moment of your waking life, and that limb is going to become dysfunctional, and it's not going to work properly. An overwhelming number of people in our world do this with the shoes. And walking around barefoot on asphalt or in public, in the grocery store, on the sidewalk, is not what I'm suggesting. I don't think it's what anyone is suggesting. But what exists already, and what luckily is growing in popularity, are these shoe designs that give you the space for your feet to open up. And allow you to actually use the strength in your feet, and they don't act so much like a cast that prevents you from using the structure as it was meant to be used, as it has always been used. I really don't have much more to say about this. I wanted to touch on that idea to throw it out there just in case it could serve somebody. And like I said, I put some links. Maybe I'll pop them up here again if I can. Or if not, check the video description. It's just that recently, and I kind of already knew this, and it will happen again, but it came to my attention that this is novel information for some people. It's new. It's they never thought about it. Many people have never thought about it because I don't know. For me, it's been, I think, automatic. Number one, because I don't like wearing shoes. So when I'm at home, at least, I am not using them. And again, more recently, I've been using the barefoot style of shoes, which I feel really comfortable in when I'm out in the world. But more specifically in my case, it's that I've always been involved in balance, either sports or activities that involve balance, and maybe skateboarding in particular, but also beyond that, just even when I'm walking on foot. When I was younger, maybe I did it more, but it has stayed with me. I would walk on a railroad track, for example. I could have walked right next to it, but I wanted to walk on it. And I mean, I've been using my feet to fine-tune balance forever. I'm fascinated by balance. And I don't mean the history of balance or information and knowledge about balance. I mean the actual experience of it. Some of you may have seen that I have videos about me riding a unicycle. That doesn't so much play into the foot shape stuff, but that feeling of focusing on balance physically. It is, I want to say meditative in a way. It's meditative in the sense that when I am engaged in some type of activity like that, I'm not thinking about other things. All of my awareness is focused on the balance. And maybe for that reason, and me being that kind of a person, this has all come natural to me. And my feet feel healthy and strong, and seems like they're no issues so far. But yeah, it's just the same. It ties into the beginning of the video, and that is that, like I said, a lot of people want to buy a product that will fix their issue. They want to buy a pill or get a surgery that will fix their issue. They want to pay a professional who can work on their body, who can fix the issue. Everybody wants somebody else to do something for them. But the truth, which hurts many people, the truth that people don't want to look at, they don't want to accept, maybe because we're all just really lazy. And the more common excuse is that I just don't have time. That's what they say. And I don't have children yet, so maybe I'll understand that more when I have children, because that's often one variable of having children. Maybe a newborn that requires a lot of attention, and you work full time, and you have 2 jobs, and all of these other things. So the most common excuse is time. And people swear that if they had the time, they would do it. I just don't know, to be honest, if I believe everybody when they say that. That time is really the issue. But it could be. And hopefully they're able to make it out of on the other side of that situation they're in, and then start to work on themselves and do the work. Because like I said, it takes work. The work is hard. The work never ends. But if you include the work, if you start working on yourself, and in this video I'm specifically talking about physically, like if you start strengthening your core, if you start strengthening your legs and your glutes, and then your back pain starts to go away, and your overall awareness of your spine increases, and you are now aware of when you tilt this way, that's what's putting pressure, but when you tilt that way, it feels more healthy. um, and about the shoes and the feet. As all of your awareness of these things increase, you might start to realize, oh, so I was actually causing that pain, that chronic pain that I was having, from my own lifestyle choices. And now that I have made these changes that are now part of my daily routine, yes, it is still work, but it doesn't feel like work because it's part of my daily routine. It's part of my schedule. I make sure that I do it. And I'm now experiencing the positive benefits and outcomes from the time invested in this work. And not only does my body feel better, but as a result or connected to that, my overall sense of well-being is now elevated. And I didn't know I could feel this happy and this good and this light. I hope that more people, and it seems like, I guess in general, it seems like there's more focus on this in the modern world versus, I mean, in the current day reality compared to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. Like when you keep going back, it does seem like, or should I say right now compared to a long time ago, we do have, we live like a luxurious life. Like we have the ability to even stop and think about things like this. Whereas in the past, it was all the physical work you do is like for survival. Now, when people, for example, work on a computer, well, it doesn't matter what you work on, but just in the modern world, it's like we have the luxury to even think about these things and to have these these problems, which really aren't, like I said, most of what I'm referring to are imbalances and issues that are easily fixed. Of course, exceptions exist. Of course, there are those that had their foot um, crushed by a horse when they were 13, and then they had like 3 surgeries, and now they're dealing with that. So that's their starting point, and they're dealing with, how do I address this pain? You know, there's an endless number of those examples, and that's something else. I'm not referring to those individuals, though some of these concepts that I'm talking about, generally applied, might help them as well. I'm speaking about people who, from my perspective, it is 100%, I mean, their discomfort, their pain, their issue is 100% a result of their daily lifestyle. And the solution is 100% going to be them changing their daily lifestyle, experiencing the accumulation of the good decisions, smart moves, working on themselves, putting in the time and effort. That's what's going to be what fixes their issue and resolves it entirely. And it's just that we all need to accept in this case that once your issue is resolved, that doesn't mean you can stop doing the work, because it will come back. You will fall apart. And the sooner we start this, the better. It's going to be really difficult to start this type of work when it comes to like increasing the frequency of physicality, whether it's going to the gym or picking up a sport, or maybe even just switching to a more physical job for some people. I don't know what it might be. Everyone's path is going to be different, but it's not going to be a change that you're going to want to make the older you get. 50, 60, 70, 80. Are you going to want to start, you could, anything's possible. And there's plenty of stories like that. People who didn't start working out until they were past their 40s or something. And they gradually went into it. They did it the right way, and they allowed time for rest and healing, and they've turned their lives around. A lot of what's tied into this, when I think about my clients, is also weight. A lot of people have issue and pain and problems in their like ankles and feet and knees, but they're literally morbidly obese. And I've never been morbidly obese. I can't sit here and act like it's easy to turn that around and it's easy to drop 300 pounds. But it needs to be looked at realistically, if that is the case. A lot of people in general, they're just not interested in realistically looking at what is the cause of their issue. And so, like I said, they go and they pay good money to professionals to work on them. And the professionals, given their individual philosophies or way of looking at the body and addressing issues, they're doing their best and they want to help. But sometimes it's like the individual needs to just at least begin the process of losing that weight, or begin the process of strengthening that body part in order to take pressure off of the joint itself. It's a shame that I was talking with a client about this recently. There is absolutely no education when it comes to our physical self. When we think about public school, like, you need to decide to focus on this and study it in university if you wanted to really learn about it. And even then, you might be able to learn more on your own. I mean, I don't know what they're teaching. Of course, studying kinesiology would be probably the way to go, to just understand all of this stuff, or to have a very solid foundation of it. But it's a shame that, like I said, in public school, when we're younger, you can start, like, young children could start to learn about some pretty basic things that would translate into a healthier lifestyle. But that's not what any of us learned, and that's not what is being taught. It would be wonderful if everybody knew how to provide like a basic massage. It's not difficult to understand. Of course, some people would be naturally more gifted than others. Some people might not be into doing that at all. But if people knew and got to feel with their own hands or their own body how to, like, relieve or release a trigger point, it's really simple to teach that. And, well, I mean, you would hope, ideally you would feel it. You would feel it happening to you. Maybe you could do it to yourself, or doing it to someone else, having them do it to you. But it's weird that, like, it's not weird. It is what it is. That this is actually normal for us, because it's just the way that society is, or our culture is, or just modern life. It's all happening in our heads. Everything, going to school, it's all really just teaching people how to go into their head and do things in their head. There's not much about the physical body going on. There's not much education about the physical body. Luckily for many people, and I wasn't one of these people, and it's nobody's fault but mine, because I did start out playing like soccer when I was younger. And then I quit. I didn't want to do it anymore, and I would just skateboard. And that was my physical activity, was skateboarding when I was younger. And that was not on a team, that was not professionally, that was just for fun, and I loved it. So at least I had that. But what I'm saying is, some people are lucky enough to be involved in a sport, and they go into a gym and they train how to lift weights, and they do stuff like from an early age, and they very quickly, I mean, very early in life, they learn the value of doing that. And it becomes a part of their daily life forever, because they started young. That's a beautiful thing. That was not my case. As far as specifically thinking about strengthening certain parts of my body and learning how to build muscle and strength and feeling that process, it's been recently in life. And just by my own doing. So, I mean, be grateful or count your blessings. For those of you who do have maybe parents who are really active, and they encourage you to be that way, and they taught you about that. Hopefully this is still recording. My computer, the screensaver came on. But yes, not everyone's that lucky. Not everyone is lucky enough to have parents or role models around them, or to even have access to sometimes funds that it might take to be on a team of some kind. But the thing is, it's never too late to start. I just think it would be best to start right now. Or if you're watching this at midnight, start tomorrow morning. with making good decisions about your physical health. And I'm thinking more about movement and exercise, choosing appropriate footwear, things like I was talking about in this entire video. Um, it might seem really hard to change, but it's actually not. It's just little tiny, it's subtle changes. It's an accumulation of subtle changes, one at a time, until they all become part of your daily life. It won't happen overnight for most people. And doing too much too soon sometimes might turn people off because they would be incredibly sore, or they might even, depending on the individual and their will and their state of mind, they might really push themselves too hard and they could injure themselves. Like if you've never been a physically active person, you probably should start slow. But it's important that you don't baby yourself for too long, and that you do increase the workload, and that you actually teach your body how to handle more workload. But anyway, I'm not a physical trainer. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not a physical therapist. I am a massage therapist, but what I'm speaking about in many ways is actually beyond my scope as a massage therapist. I'm just speaking as a human being and from the things that I see. These are all just opinions and perspectives. I'm not here giving any type of medical advice or any professional advice or telling you what to do. But sometimes I hope I will speak just how I am now, not for 33 minutes straight without stopping, but I will speak about all of this stuff with clients, just so at the very least, they're exposed to the ideas and the perspective, and they can think, oh yeah, maybe I should change my, maybe these are good things to think about. Maybe these are good things to be aware of. Even if you still aren't ready to actually start doing the work and you still want to just kind of hide from the truth and hope and pray that you will find someone who will cure your issue for you, or who can somehow do the work for you. I feel like that is never there. In rare occasions, it could be that you find someone, or you get some body work that does solve a really minor issue or reset things, and also at the same time increase your body awareness around a certain issue, and then from that point moving forward you can deal with it. But these things don't resolve themselves when we live a sedentary lifestyle. They can't. Like I mentioned in a video that I made not too long ago, it was last year, a few months ago. I don't know exactly the date, but I remember talking about this. And it's like living a sedentary lifestyle. That whole thing is kind of new territory for the human form. And I would think traditionally, or maybe it's better to say historically, if a human body is sedentary, that pretty much means it's time to die. That's like something that you might do when you're elderly or at the end of your life and you're no longer physically capable of hunting or gathering or working or whatever. It's like you're telling your body that it's time to die, or your body is telling your mind that it's time to die. And there's a lot of depression and anxiety and other issues linked in with sedentary lifestyle that in many people's cases I think might entirely dissolve if they were to stimulate physicality and start being more physical and doing physical things and using their body like it's as if it were still alive. Living like you're handicapped is what it is. It's similar to like I said, putting the casts on our feet and then watching the form just fall apart. We do this with our entire lifestyles in some cases, living as though we were handicapped. And all of the health issues follow suit. I mean, they come with that. If you don't use your body and you don't actually act like you're alive, if you just sit around and lay around, and I know many people are in a way trapped because of their work. Their work is all through a computer. and they spend hours and hours and hours on the computer. It's just that there needs to be balance outside of that work time. There needs to be something. If you just lay around and sit around and eat, and you say, well, I go for my walk, I do my walks every day, that's beautiful. That's amazing that you walk. But it's not enough just to walk. Unless you are, like I said, you're 98 years old and you're already knocking on death's door, maybe that would make sense to me, that walking is, like a great job. But walking is not enough, in my personal perspective. I'm not trying to shit on that. I'm not trying to shit on that concept or whatever. It is what it is. It's better than not walking. It's better than really just laying in bed watching TV. But we shouldn't pat ourselves on the back for going for a walk, because it's just the absolute bare minimum form of movement. I mean, maybe if you walk for 10 miles, that's pretty cool. I like that. That's actually awesome. But what I'm saying is, like, walking from your car to the grocery store and walking around the store and going back to your car, then going home. That's nothing. That is not, I mean, please don't convince yourself that that is you exercising. Though it might seem like that if you're coming from a place of a true sedentary lifestyle, that might be a good start. And it is a good start, but it needs to continue, and there must be progress. I've lived, at least for extended periods, absolutely sedentary. And sometimes I thought it was, and maybe I'll never know, whether it was my mental state of depression that was making me live in that sedentary way, or if it was the sedentary lifestyle that was causing that overall sense, that overall kind of hit to my sense of well-being, and that low period. I might not ever know which came first, the chicken or the egg, in that scenario, but they are certainly interlinked. They are intimately interlinked. Your level of physical activity and your overall sense of well-being. A lot of people, I think, especially with diagnoses, clinical diagnosis of a mental health disorder, for example, I think I can say I've come across people who are really resistant to that idea, because I think what they hear is that people are saying, if you just go to the gym, you won't be depressed anymore. That's what they hear, and that's like almost offensive to them, because they're like, what? Like, is that how it gets? That's not what this is. And I'm not saying that, but I do believe, and I've seen for myself in my own life, that it makes a huge difference. Maybe you still will have depression, or you still will have anxiety, or whatever the symptoms are, but overall sense of well-being definitely does go up from using your body. Your body starts to believe that it's actually alive, and you're living on earth, and you're a living being, and you're starting to thrive a little bit. It's a really good feeling, especially to increase strength and feel that and notice that as you revisit an earlier workout that you used to do, and you see how easy it is now. And maybe I shouldn't even say workout, because that concept is kind of off-putting to a lot of people, like the idea of going to a gym. I've never been a member of a gym. I'm currently not interested in that. Maybe one day I will. But it might just be a hike. Go for a hike on a trail. Wow, that was hard. My legs were sore for 2 days. I was really hungry after that. Then keep doing it again and again and again. Eventually, it's like, this hike is nothing. I'm now looking for the next step up. Like, where's the next hardest trail? After a while, your body adapts to it, and it becomes completely normal, and you're stronger. You're breathing better. Everything just feels more alive. The point is, we can't live like we're dead. And we shouldn't shy away from hard work physically when it comes to maintaining the physical form. And this is all common sense, I think. But for many of us who have lived in our own heads for so long, it's not common sense. It's news to a lot of people. It could be news to a lot of people, especially if you've been particularly trapped in your head for a long time. Using your body gets you out of your head usually, especially when it's hard work, when it's really difficult. You feel your awareness goes into your body more. An easy hack would be like a cold shower or cold water immersion. That will very quickly, instantaneously take your consciousness from being trapped inside of your head in this strange echo chamber situation. It kind of just extracts it out and it fills your body, and you feel the cold, and all you can feel is the cold. That's an easy example. That's not exercise, but it's really powerful to like turn the body on. The brain is still on, it's working, your mind is still working, but you're not trapped in it. You can actually escape from it and use it more like a tool. But yes, 42 minutes. I think I have rambled on enough. This was the topic that was on my mind today. It's often on my mind, and it will be on my mind again because, like I said, the nature of the work that I do currently, I see this all the time, and I try to talk to people about this. Because to me, it seems very important that we know you're not always going to be able to pay a professional to fix you. Even if it's a surgery, and there's amazing surgeries, that's not always going to fix you forever. It's usually lifestyle changes that need to take place. And maybe it's hard to accept, but once we accept it and we start taking baby steps and making it happen, making the changes, everything changes. Your life changes. Your mental, emotional, spiritual, physical well-being, everything changes accordingly. And it does take time. We have to, practice patience, but also be consistent. Consistency is key. Anyway, have a good day, you guys. I'll see you next time.